When I did the live unboxing of these last week or whenever that was, I kind of compared these to the Ugly Duckling, and I'm wondering if maybe they just kind of start off being a little weird and they're gonna grow on me, but I don't know.
What's going on, people? So, this right here, this is my last little batch of shoe reviews and whatnot for August, which also means that it might just be my last time hanging out with old Juke Nudie up there for a little while. I don't know who's on the calendar for next month. We'll find out next month, which is in like 2 days. But he's the guy that drew these pictures over here for me, so maybe you remember those from past unboxings and whatnot. Very cool dude. Very cool dude. I was just talking to him a few minutes ago, actually. But anyway, so here we are. Got some shoes and whatnot. You want to see the side of the box? There's that before I forget it. Now, a couple of weeks ago, I put up a little post in the community section saying, hey, what do you guys want to see next? Give me some ideas for things I should pick up. Sometimes there's things I would like and just don't know about, so I like to put that out there to the world and see what people say. And somebody, Uptown Dude, mentioned these right here, right? Now, the Fusio had been on my radar from before, so it wasn't like a new request necessarily to me. It's just something I just never got around to. But Finish Line had a sale for whatever discount, and then I had some of those Finish Line dollars from like having bought stuff, you know what I'm saying? So that brought it down just a little bit more and made it into a price range where I was cool with buying it. So now that I've got them in hand, it's time to go ahead and do the whole thing that we normally do, talk about them to see if it's like worth buying, all the stuff. Though if you happen to see the live that I did 2 or 3 days ago, you know exactly where this video is going. But hey, we're gonna do it anyway, right? So as I said before, this right here is the Adidas Fusio in gray and solar yellow. Yeah. So let's go ahead and knock this thing out. I'm gonna start this particular review with the bottom because that sounds like a decent idea. Down there, what you're looking at is something that I was not expecting at all. There's a lot of lines and stuff. It's like if somebody was speeding past you, like in a cartoon or whatever, you would see all those lines, or like if you're in space or something. Yeah, so it's odd, but that's what's going on down there. And then you got the little Adidas pad back in the back, or at least branded anyway. So there's that for you. You probably got a good picture enough to see what I'm talking about. And then you move on to the midsole here. The midsole, right? It's going to be that 40s stuff, right? It seems to be very similar to the other ones, just with a bit of a gradient to it. But even so, it's not so much of a gradient as much as it just stops like right there. You can kind of pinpoint where it stops, Not much of a fade this time around. And one of the things that I did not expect was I thought that this piece of plastic that comes down over it was kind of like fused into it, But it's not. As you can see from the lower angle here, this is more like an overlay similar to like the Air Max 2021s. And I am not sure how to feel about that. Visually, I don't like it, but I don't think it really affects anything. But, it is what it is. Things like that I just like to bring up from time to time in case anybody else thought the same thing. Now you know. So anyways, like I was saying, you got this piece of plasticky stuff. It's very flexible or whatever. You got Adidas on the outside. Then on the inside, you have Adidas 40 Fusio, right? So there's that for you. Now, moving on past that, giving you guys one quick look overall at the upper of the shoe, the whole shoe that is. You can kind of see what we're up against. Got some prime knit, got some plastic stuff down in the below that we talked about and on the shoe. But we're going to get in here and we're going to talk about these things as we normally do. So, as I was saying, the upper of this shoe is going to be like your standard prime knits type stuff that they've been doing for a while now. You do have a bit of a shift in like the overall stitching patterns and stuff, similar to like what they do with a lot of the 350s and things like that, or just any other Ultra Boost, right? So I'll get you pictures in there and that way you can just kind of see. I'm not going to tell you how it's stitched, right? Because why bother? So then you got that whole thing going on. Moving back just a little bit over to the mid side here, you have these weird plastic tubes. They kind of remind me of like those Bane tubes from the Oswego's, which I happen to have a pair of right here. What do you know? So if you remember like the back of these and then kind of like goes on to the side or whatever, yeah, that's one of the things that I was put off by with these, right? But these, they just kind of remind me of that. Or you could also look at it as like those glow sticks or whatever when they stop glowing or whatever. That's kind of what it looks like as well. Either way, I don't really care for it personally, but I guess they just want it to be a little different. So they got those, right? And that's kind of what's holding down the laces. But let's keep this train moving. Down here on the back end, moving past all that, you do have another one of those little tubes and stuff. And this one, you can barely see it unless you really focus in on it. So that says Adidas. Yeah, it just says Adidas and has the plant logo thing or whatever. So there's that for you. One thing that I kind of didn't really mention on the side was that you do, and you probably saw it, so I don't really need to, but you do have some pretty big hole perforations on the side. So that's always a nice thing as far as breathability. I mean, it's already a prime knit shoe, so it's going to be there as a given, but taking those extra steps can be a good thing. So there's that. Now, moving on past all that stuff, at the very top here on the lacing section and everything, those laces are pretty much your standard Ultra Boost type laces. Nothing you haven't really seen before. Just flat, thin, right? Standard stuff. Above that, or slightly behind that, however you want to look at it, you do have this Adidas tab, which looks to be 3M. And it actually looks like there might be some other 3M sprinkled in on this upper or something. I didn't really look into it beforehand, but I'll look into it before this video is published, So then moving on past there, when you get to the upper of the shoe, it kind of has that same style build as a lot of the uncaged type shoes from initial releases or whatever. But otherwise, or the 380, I guess also. But it's just going to be that closed in sock type feel, right? So there's that for you. And one thing that I should say while I'm thinking about it, because I might forget later, is that walking around in this part, I'm hoping it breaks in or something, but it is very annoying to walk around in because it really just digs into your foot in a way that I'm not a huge fan of. It kind of reminds me a lot of this guy right here, which cool looking shoe or whatever, but it had a lot of things about it that in execution and wearing just aren't good, which sucks because it looks pretty nice. That's the Ultra Boost 6.0 DNA or whatever. But anyway, so moving on back to these here. That kind of concludes for the most part everything about the outside of the shoe. So we'll jump down onto the inside, see what's going on in there. And not a whole lot. You got a green insole with the black type of thing that they had on the front of the shoe, or at least on the top of the shoe. And then in the very back, one of the things that I mentioned in the live that I did about these, you kind of see back here on the back of this heel tab area, right? It doesn't feel like it's going to be a very forgiving material. So if you happen to wear low socks or something like that, or no socks, which is nasty, as I've said in the past, and we'll stand by that, this is probably not going to do good things for the back of your foot. So either get some proper socks, with some decent height to them for something like this, or don't buy these. Those are my two suggestions, right? I mean, I guess you could just tough it out if you want to do that or whatever, but yeah, more power to you. And then down in here, you do have a little bit of those pillows like you have on 350s and such, just to kind of give you a little bit of cushion on the sides. Maybe it's to make up for the lack of forgivingness on the very back. But that's what's going on the inside of the shoe. So now let's step back, take this whole thing in, and we'll give you some personal thoughts. Well, I'll give you some personal thoughts. And you can give me yours if you want to. Like while I'm talking, feel free to scroll down and say what you think so far. Anyways, this right here, these Fusios, I had my eye on them for a while. I thought prime knit upper, 40 midsole, just a pretty good combination of things, right? I didn't look at them super close, and now that I'm seeing them super close, I wish I had looked at them super close. Because these, visually, to me, not the greatest thing in the world, right? And especially when you consider the prices. Like, these are $200 at retail. I didn't pay that. I didn't pay near that. But considering what they're asking for this, I don't think it's worth it, Now, there are other factors to consider, right, as far as comfort and whatnot that might sway your opinion. So don't take that piece and just run with it. Weigh things out and hear me out, completely. But just looking at the visual of this shoe, I mean, thinking about it now, like, had I not been able to get these, I would have been fine with it. So in whatever parallel universe where I didn't get these, I'm sure I'm moving along just fine through life, right? But that's not enough. I got to get into some details, talk about some things about how I feel as far as the rest of the shoe, with like the comfort and whatnot. So we should probably just go ahead and knock that piece out. But yeah, it's not good. I'll give you that little warning right now. So here's the thing, sizing wise, right? These, they're feeling all right at a true to size, right? So I don't have any questions about that, like if I should have gone up or down or whatever. So whatever size you would normally wear in like an Ultra Boost or any other casual Adidas shoe, stick with that, you should be good. Or if you just know what size your foot is, like I said, it's true to size, so that kind of takes all the guesswork out of it in my opinion, right? Now, as far as the upper goes and all that good stuff, it does feel really good as far as the material and all that. Nothing amazing though. Overall, I still prefer like basically all the other shoes that I have as far as the feeling of them. It's not to say it's bad, it's just that the other ones are just a little bit better. You know, what can you do? The one place where it does win some points though is down here on the very bottom. I mean, the 4D is still kind of a clunky sort of feel at first, but it really helps that they put these little pads on the very bottom, because similar to what you saw on like the 40, like the Future Crafts and things like that, this padding kind of helps it not feel so stiff with each footstep. So if you had a pair in the past and like that was a thing that you're kind of saying I don't want any 4D shoes about, know that this is going to be a better design. However, again, the rest of the shoe and like other things about it would still make me lean towards buying something else, right? So I mean, I'll be keeping these in the collection or whatever, well, for at least for a while. I might give them to my brother or something. But yeah, it's really just not an easy shoe to recommend based on how I feel about it, you know? There might be other people that feel a different way, but the comfort here, you know, it's not amazing enough to make me really suggest it. And then the upper, everything else that's doing this is doing it better. So there's that piece. Again, it's not a bad shoe, right? It's not like wearing these is gonna hurt your feet or anything. It's just that there's other choices out there that are all totally worth it, and this one is not really. So there you go. That's going to be it for me on this. I mean, I don't really have much else to say about the sizing and comfort, but like I said, go out there, do whatever you want to do based on what makes sense to you. I just try to give you a little bit of information to make an informed decision and all that stuff. So I've done that. So from me to you, have a nice rest of your day or rest of your night, whatever it is, wherever you are. I got one more review to knock out, and then I'm done for today, kind of, sort of. Later, people.